my darling. Today is going to be my postpartum update video. I am currently 7 weeks postpartum, but I had my checkup last week at 6 weeks. I went in to do my postpartum update. They just did a full physical to make sure everything was healing correctly. Everything has healed up extremely well. They gave me the clear to just kind of go about doing my regular activities so I can start working out if I wanted to. Everybody says after they have kids they want to lose weight, and yeah, I want to lose weight, but then the reality of actually having time to like work out is hard. So I'm trying to figure out what the best plan for me to start losing weight is. I did take my weight and I am about a little over 20 pounds lighter than I was before I delivered the twins. Pretty much the weight I had gained was all baby. So that 20 pounds was made up of the twins. So that's over 11 pounds of baby. Plus there's amniotic fluid, plus the placentas, and then plus water that you retain, and then extra blood that you're pumping through your body. Pretty much everything that I was carrying was all baby, which was good news to me. But I do kind of want to talk about mental health after having a baby, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, just postpartum mental health as a whole. One of the big things that I really kind of advocate for is postpartum mental health, especially because I did struggle with it after I had my second child, Lennon. I had really bad postpartum anxiety. I want to just help as many people as I can by sharing my story. If you haven't watched that video about my struggle with postpartum anxiety, I will link it below. And so this time I'm at a different OB than I was for Lennon. I was just curious what their screening process was going to be for postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, because I want to say a majority of women who struggle with it, they're not just going to come out and say right away like, hey, I'm depressed. As much as we're progressing with mental health and being able to talk about it more and just raising more awareness, nowadays it's still not where it should be. I'm sure people aren't comfortable with just coming outright saying like that they're like struggling this way. When I went to my OB, like I love my OB office, I love everything about them, except when I went there wasn't any kind of screening for postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety. They didn't have me fill out any forms. They kind of asked me how things were going at home, and I was just like, oh, things are going great. If I was struggling with postpartum depression, I'm not the kind of person who's just gonna outright say like, oh, I'm struggling. Like I wouldn't be that kind of person. So I would definitely kind of just put on a happy face and just be like, oh yeah, things are fine. And then they have no idea what's really going on. There wasn't any kind of screening that I felt that they did to watch out for any kind of postpartum depression or anxiety. I haven't really felt like that I've been really struggling with postpartum anxiety yet. I do kind of feel some of the things that I felt with Lennon that kind of started at the beginning of my anxiety. I'm really hoping that I don't go through that again, but now that I know the signs, like I know when I'm gonna really need help and when I should really like talk to a doctor about it. And so I let her know like, hey, last time I did struggle with postpartum anxiety. If I ever feel like there's something I need help with, what do I do? Like I've never asked for help before. Pretty much she said, well, all new moms kind of go through anxiety, but if you do feel like it's more than normal, just call the girls at the front office and tell them that it's postpartum depression. They won't know what you're talking about for postpartum anxiety. That kind of rubbed me off. I mean, it kind of rubbed me a wrong way because it made me feel like my whole struggle with postpartum anxiety wasn't a thing. It's just postpartum depression that people look out for. After I had my twins, I was watching a lot of Netflix. Well, I'm still watching a lot of Netflix. I came across this documentary called When the Bow Breaks. It is on Netflix right now if you do want to watch it. I completely recommend it to absolutely everyone. I recommend that everybody watches it, whether you're a new mother, an expecting mother, or if you're planning on having kids in the future, or even if you're not planning on having kids, but you know you have family and friends who are having kids. If your partner is having children, if you're a grandmother and like your son or daughter are having children, I just recommend everybody to watch this documentary. It very much brings so much awareness to postpartum mental health and some signs. It kind of shares a lot of different people's stories. I think what a lot of people look out for is just the postpartum depression, and people, when they think about depression, it's just someone who's like sad all the time and crying and laying in bed and not doing anything. Postpartum depression can look like so many different things. When they talk about postpartum depression, they speak speak about it as postpartum mental health because women don't just struggle with depression after having children. They struggle with anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and also postpartum psychosis. It's one of the most extreme things that you can experience after having children. They also touched on the subject of doctors, especially OBGYNs. They're not formally trained in handling mental health issues. They are not psychologists or psychiatrists. They're OBGYN. A lot of them aren't given the proper training to handle postpartum mental health. There was one doctor who even admitted, like, I don't know how to handle this. Like, I don't know how to go about it. And I think just bringing awareness about it is just kind of the first step in the right direction, and realizing that postpartum mental health issues affect almost all new mothers that have a baby. There's just so many things going on. You're just trying to get used to a new baby while your hormones are just fluctuating and going crazy. And if you've struggled with mental health issues in the past, definitely having a baby is going to trigger some more issues that you may have to struggle with. I know this was supposed to be my postpartum update. I just wanted to talk about postpartum mental health because it's really important to me. I know I've talked about it before, but I just want other women and other moms to know that I've struggled with it myself. I could still be struggling with it now. It's so hard to tell when you're actually struggling through it. You don't really see what's happening. When I struggled through my anxiety, I didn't realize I had postpartum anxiety until like after I had kind of gone through it all. So now I can kind of see signs of me kind of struggling through it, but it hasn't gotten bad to the point like it did last time. I mean, I'm not a professional. I didn't go to school to handle things like this. I just want other moms and other women to know my story. I just want other women to know that I'm here for them if anybody's struggling through any postpartum mental health issues and just need somebody to talk to and they're not sure if what they're going through is postpartum mental health. Please seek help, whether it be through your doctor, your spouse. Some people contact their church. I want people to know that I'm there for them as well, and I will be more than happy to talk to you about what you're going through. But I'm not a professional. There's only so much I can do, but I still want to be there for people. I want to be that support if you need it. I'll link my Facebook page below as well if you want to message me through it or email me through it. If anybody has any more questions about what I've struggled through, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have whatsoever. I'm definitely here day or night, any time of the night, and I will try and answer as quickly as I can. And even if you're not struggling through any mental health issues, but you just feel overwhelmed as a new mother, that is completely okay. There's this expectation to kind of be like a perfect Instagram mom, a perfect Facebook mom, where you look perfect, your kids look perfect. When you're sending them to school, they have these perfect lunches, they're well behaved. And after you have a baby, if you have other kids, I think there's this expectation that some moms feel that they need to kind of keep up what they've been doing, and if they slip, then they are looked at as a bad mother. But if you've just had a baby, like, you cannot expect things to just kind of go back to normal, to how things were before you had the baby. Life changes so much after you have one baby, two babies, three babies, four babies. Like, every time you just add in another person, things are going to change. They're not going to go back to how they were, and it is okay if you drop the ball, and it's okay if you're not perfect. You just had a baby. Like, you don't need to be perfect, which is something I constantly have to remind myself. I constantly have to remind myself I am one person. I cannot be doing a million things at once. I need to be okay with things being chaotic for a little while. If you feel like you're losing control, like, it's okay to kind of give in to that loss of control instead of trying to control it even more. If that makes any sense at all. I definitely think postpartum mental health, there's still a lot of light we need to shed on it. I think we still have so much farther to go. I just ask that if you are struggling with anything, just please, please, please talk to somebody. Just even letting your partner know, like, hey, I don't feel like myself. Like, even a little phrase like that can help you so much. When I was struggling with antepartum depression, which is depression during your pregnancy, I didn't really know what was going on with me. I just told my husband, hey, I don't feel like myself, and just opened up a conversation between the two of us. These kind of issues, it's so hard to form the words and just to get someone to understand what you're struggling with. Unless you've struggled through it yourself, it's so hard to communicate to others like what you're going through, and I totally understand. I feel like I've been talking in circles and I'm sorry if I have, and I'm sorry if this video is going to be really long. This issue is definitely something that I feel very strongly about, and I think I will constantly be talking about postpartum mental health for the rest of my life because it's just so important to talk about. We need to get people talking about it and feeling more comfortable about it. I have no problem sharing my story and helping others if I can. This probably won't be my last video about this topic, but I just kind of wanted to update people how my health has been going and my mental health. I'm gonna wrap up this video now before I keep just going on, and the babies are hungry, so I need to go feed them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, bye!